Yo, what is good, YouTube? Welcome back to another JC2K video. In today's video, we're going to be ranking the top 5 best budget cards at each position right now here in NBA 2K25 MyTEAM. Now, for budget card, honestly, I stretched it a little bit for this video just to give us more good options. Up to like 75, 80 KMT really is the max for most of the cards on this list. But a lot of these guys are a lot cheaper than that. A lot of them are pretty close to that price point. But we did put together a pretty good list of some good cards at each position. So before we hop into the video, if y'all haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Help me push towards the 40,000 subscriber mark on the channel. I upload every single day, tons of consistent daily MyTEAM content. We'd really appreciate it if y'all do subscribe. Without further ado, number 5 at the point guard position is going to be Mario Chalmers, and he is way down here. But this card is very, very complete badge-wise for a Ruby. Has a very smooth release, a little bit of movement, can finish with the rim. Super solid Ruby card, definitely the best salary cap point guard value wise, pretty much to run, and definitely a super solid card. Still, he plays more defense than you would think at 6'2". Solid card, definitely the only Ruby on this list, and a very, very good option at the PG spot. Number 4 is gonna be Austin Reeves. This Reeves card is like a worse version of Pink Diamond Devin Booker, like decently worse to be fair. His movement's not as good. His jumper's still really nice though. His fade isn't quite as good as D-Books, but a very good scoring point guard with a little bit of athletic ability, not elite defensively, like super solid card for sure, but not an exceptionally top tier option either at the point guard position. Number 3 is going to be Jamal Crawford. This J crossover card is, I think, a little bit slept on. 6'5" PG, not horrific defensively, has a very smooth release, some pretty good movement. He can dunk the ball a little bit. Solid card, definitely does most of what you need at the point guard position. Is he an elite defender? No, not really, but he's a solid card, and I think putting him at the number 3 spot is the right spot for him on this list. Number 2 is going to be Kobe White. Did a gameplay with this card today. Y'all may or may not have already dropped. I think it probably will have by the time y'all watch this video, but this card's very surprisingly really nice. I mean, he's got good athletic ability, very fast jump shot, good movement for a PG. 6'5" with a big player, but it makes him look taller than that. And defensively, I know he's got no base badges, but once he's badged up, he's a really good card on that end as well. Very, very good option at the point guard position. If you need a PG, Kobe White is a great option. And number 1 is going to be DeJounte Murray. Alex Caruso is no longer what I would consider a budget point guard, unfortunately, which is a shame because he's really, really good. But he is right around like 100,000 MT to not even a buyout at this point. So if you want a Caruso, in my opinion, you can. I'm not going to sit here and say he's not still worth paying for. I think he's a really good card, but I don't know. It's a lot more MT for a budget point guard at this point. I can't really put a guy who's right at 100k MT on this list, but I do think he's better than all these point guards. He's just a little too expensive even for a stretched out budget. So I think all these guys are really good options though. Still, DeJounte's another guy who's good defensively, 6'5", good release, decent movement. Like what you need at the point guard position, really good solid diamond. I think he's the best of all the diamond PGs. At the shooting guard position, number 5 is going to be Doug West. This card isn't great. He has a fast release, but not a super high 3-ball. Decent, but not unbelievable movement. Kind of the same thing on the defensive end. Needs badges added to be an elite option, but he's definitely not terrible. Can get the job done. I would recommend any of these other 4 guys over Doug West, though. Michael Cooper is just a pure 3-and-D, fast jump shot, good dunker, and a very, very good defender. That's what he provides, is that defensive end of the court. He's not much of a shot creator at all, though, but he is a solid card, so definitely no issues with him at number 3. Now, number 2, Corey Maggette, or sorry, number 3, Corey Maggette. Number 4 was Cooper. Very fast jump shot. Probably the best offensive shooting guard on this list, or at least the second best. But defensively, he's not unbelievable. Now, he's still pretty darn good. He's a very good slasher as well. He's a very good card. Definitely a super solid shooting guard option. Compete at a very high level. Definitely a big fan of him. But the shooting guard position has 2 guys who I think are definitely a little bit above the rest. That being Doug Christie at number 2, who is really smooth release, Pro 2 fade, great defender, decent slasher, has off a movable interceptor and on-ball menace with 3 amazing defensive Hall of Fame badges. Really, really good card for a budget shooting guard card. A lot of people were using when he first came out, even at a competitive level, can still compete. Really good card. And the number 1 is a card who's actually free today from Triple Threat Park. Danny Green, best budget shooting guard in the game, is also available for free for the rest of today as y'all watch this video for a 5-game win streak in Triple Threat Park. Make sure y'all pick him up for free, but even for a buy for his price, he's really, really good. Has Kimba escape. Yes, he needs a couple playmaking badges to be his max level, but he's got a good dribble style, good escape, and he's an elite defender with a very good jump shot and decent athletic ability. Definitely the best budget 2 guard in my team right now. At the small forward position, there's not really a 5th best budget small forward right now, unfortunately, something that I noticed. So I went with this Chuck Person. Really good defender, or sorry, really good shooter, solid release, not an elite defender, not an elite stat and badge-wise card in general, but definitely not bad. Got no issues with him at the number 5 spot, but he's not an elite card. Again, I would stick to these other 4 guys first. Number 4 is going to be Steven Jackson. He's a little bit more versatile than Chuck Person is, has a smooth release, good slasher, like solid all-around card, not unbelievably elite, but definitely very solid as an all-around diamond small forward, has pretty good defense across the board. I think he's a super solid card, and honestly, all 4 of these guys are really, really good options at the small forward position for budget cards. Number 3 is going to be Jalen Williams. J-Dub is another great option. Now, he's only 6'5". That'd be my biggest critique or criticism of this card, but I do think he's still a very, very good option. So again, it has that Darius Garland dribble style, fast release, all that type of stuff that really makes him a great offensive card. And I think he's a solid defensive card as well, despite being a little bit undersized. Definitely not a bad option at all at the small forward position. Number 2 is going to give us Jonathan Kuminga from this past weekend's Abracadabra drop. Was really positively impressed by this card. Very smooth release that I think is much better than I anticipated it to be. Very, very solid defender as well, and an elite slasher at the small forward position. Has very solidly complete badges, especially gold badges. Really good card. I got no issues whatsoever with him at number 2. And then at number 1, I am going to go with OG Anunoby, who's an elite defensive small forward with a fast jump shot, great slashing. Honestly, kind of very similar to Jonathan Kuminga. I think both those guys do very similar things on the court. And really, you could run either one of them and have a lot of success against higher tier small forward options. Now, moving over to the power forward position, I don't really absolutely love the power forward position value wise, but I think there's some good options as well. Like number 5 is going to be Keith Van Horn. Another guy you could consider, by the way, for power forward who's not on this list is Al Harrington. Now he's right around 80 KMT, a little bit more expensive, so I didn't actually put him on this list, but he would probably deserve to be on the list. He definitely would if I had included him. So keep that in mind. He's another great option. But this Keith Van Horn, 6'10", very good shooter. When you look at the card, honestly, this is a guy that people don't talk about, but he does a lot of things well. Like he's 6'10", 6'11" wingspan, so he's got good size. I know the defense isn't elite, but he's got a really good shot and he's an elite level knockdown. Like he's a knockdown shooter with a very fast jump shot. Very smooth jumper. Obviously, D-Book's base is really good. Not unbelievably fast, not an elite slasher or defender, but he gets the job done at a pretty solid level at the power forward position. Not a bad card at all. So if you need an option, he's not a bad one. Number 4 is going to be Danny Manning. 6'10", can kind of do everything pretty darn well. That's the value and the intrigue, I think, of this Danny Manning card. Now, jumper isn't elite, but it definitely is good enough to get the job done. I just don't love Magic's base. I think it's pretty slow. Doesn't have much movement either, but he does have pretty complete stats and badges, especially defensively. Will hold hold the spot down, especially defensively at a very high level as a 6'10" power forward. Number 3 is going to be Josh Smith. Jay Smoove is great slasher, really good rebounder as well. Does a lot of really good things at the power forward position also. And yes, his jumper's a little janky, but I feel like with this stick, especially this year, it's definitely better than it was last year. He's obviously an elite athlete and an elite level defender. Really good card for sure. Number 2 is going to be Diamond Jalen Johnson. Jalen Johnson, I feel like honestly, Josh Smith, Jalen Johnson, and Danny Manning could really be switched around in any order, like very flexible options. Jalen Johnson probably doesn't give you quite the same amount on the interior. He's right around 80K as well, though, but he's still a good shooter, great slasher, not a bad defender at all either, and has good speed, very solid card, has some good badges as well. Like he's a super solid card as a pick and pop power forward. He's got athletic ability and is a good defender as well. But the best power forward in the game, and it's not really all that debatable for a budget card anyway, is this AC Green. He is an elite level power forward, can compete at the very highest level. I would have no issues whatsoever running this card competitively. I think he's an absolute dog with a very smooth, very easy release, an elite level defensive card. And for his price, he's a lot more expensive than he was earlier this week, and understandably so because he's really good and he's becoming more rare, but still right around 80 KMT, best budgets power forward in the game. The center position is trash. Like there are not good diamond centers or even amethyst centers with the exception of one guy in this game. And honestly, like there are only 3 guys, not really, there are only 2 guys for true budget cards that I think you could argue are like actually good cards. But in the interest of having 5, we're going to go with Roy Hibbert at number 5, mainly because he's 7'2". That size is valuable and he can kind of hit wide open shots as well. He's super slow, but he's a great inside big, rebounding and finishing, and defensively, he just isn't fast. Just going to struggle on the perimeter for sure. And he's not an elite shooter, but he can hit wide open, at least provides a little bit of value, but I certainly don't think he's great. Jamal McGlure isn't an awful card, but I mean, he's a very good inside big and he's got like a 3-ball rating, which is not bad. Like I think he's got a 52 3-ball. Now that's obviously not good, but he can hit wide open because his jumper is actually pretty good. So that does help him out in that aspect anyway, but he's faster, still not huge at 6'11", but very good defensive card, great dunker and decent speed, decent jumper, can hit a mid-range at a high level, can hit a 3 wide open, especially with the stick relatively consistent. Like default big is actually not a bad jump shot. So I think Jamal McGlure is okay, but again, he's not great. And then you got Vucevic, who same boat. Realistically, not all that good of a card, a bit overpriced for what he gives you. He's slow, 67 speed. He's got a very good jumper that helps him out. Decent dunker, decent defender. I mean, obviously Magloire is better overall. Vucevic is better as a shooter. You could flip those guys if you want. At this point, though, none of those three cards are cards I would really recommend. It's really only to the top 2 budget shooting small, but wow, I can't speak. Budget centers that are worth buying, which are DeAndre Ayton, and then number 1 is Brad Daugherty. Daugherty gives you less shooting in terms of a 55 3 ball, but his jumper's super smooth, and he's a great big as well. And then DeAndre Ayton is a 70-something 3 ball. Not quite as good of a jumper in my opinion, but still a very solidly easy to green one. Has off paint, patrol, and rise up, stuff like that. Dunks the ball really well around the rim. Definitely think he's solid. By the way, I am going to put Magloire over Vucevic. I'm going to switch that because I think Magloire can hit enough from 3 where he's overall more valuable than Vucevic is. But like I said, the center position is kind of a barren when it comes to budget cards right now. So with that being said, these are the point guards for top 5 budget cards. Same thing with the shooting guards right here. Shooting guard position is really deep with these top 3 guys, especially. Small forward position has a lot of good options. These 4 guys are all super solid. Power forward position is nice and well-rounded. Lot of solid cards there as well in the center position. Yes, it's weak, but at least there are a couple of good options. That is going to do it for today's video. I hope y'all did enjoy. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. I'll be back with more 2K content very, very soon, and I appreciate y'all. Peace.